I don't even know who to be mad at for this. So there was a graduating class from Trooper Basic. So a new academy class of Washington State troopers, done, about to, start their careers protecting and serving the people of Washington State. These are like young kids. I mean, these are 20-somethings. Looking at them, I'm like, oh my gosh, they look so young, But what a cool day for them. They went through, how hard basic is for them in the Trooper Training Academy. They made it through, they made the cut. And so they get all these classes, they get their big graduation day at the Washington State Capitol, where they get a march into the Capitol, and then they're in the big rotunda, big, beautiful marbled area, and they get to graduate. And and I've watched these before, and it's just such a cool day for them, and I think, a big accomplishment for all of these young men and women. So yesterday, one of these graduation ceremonies is happening. And I kid you not, this is how it started.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. If you would please take your places, we will begin the graduation ceremony for the 120th Trooper Basic Training Class and the 3rd and 4th Lateral Trooper Training Classes. We are glad everyone is here today, and as some of you may know, while our cadets were marching into the Capitol earlier today, our route unfortunately and regrettably interfered with the annual raising of the pride flag in front of the building.
Gotta be kidding me.
I'd like to apologize to anyone in attendance of either event who was made uncomfortable or inconvenienced due to this situation, and assure you there was no intent to offend or distract from the flag raising.
Oh my God.
The error was ours, and we apologize.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Are you effing kidding me? All of the work, not to mention the fact that these young men and women have made a conscious decision to serve their communities, to put their lives on the line, protecting and defending the people of Washington State in a climate and an environment that is as hostile toward them as this one is. All their hard work pays off. They have their big graduation day at the state capitol, the governor in attendance. And that ceremony starts with the state patrol prostrating itself by apologizing for their ceremony, interfering with the raising of the pride flag. Are you fucking kidding me? Outside the state capitol.
It's not even the pride flag. It's the progress flag.
The trans. Yeah, it's like a trans, and then it's got some circle in it that's like
progress.
Good God. Are you kidding me? So let me just set this up for you. I'll paint the picture for you. So outside, they're raising the progress flag, which Governor Bob Ferguson attended. More on that in a moment. And they've got, the gay rights and trans rights activists and stuff gathered, and they're all taking turns raising the progress flag, which shouldn't even be a thing. We shouldn't be raising a flag about sexual orientation above any sort of government building. It shouldn't even be a thing. And then at the same time, you've got young men and women who are going to put their lives on the line for our state, graduating in a ceremony inside the state capitol. So apparently what happened is they line up, they march into the state capitol. I don't know whose lines got crossed, but they ended up marching in formation through, essentially, the pride flag raising. And oh my gosh, the alphabet mob lost its mind. They were fearful, they said. They felt threatened, they said. They felt like it was done intentionally to disrupt and to scare them. I'm not kidding. Seattle Gay News reported on this. Washington State Patrol graduates march through progress pride flag raising ceremony, sparking concerns of disrespectful behavior. Oh my God. So there's this woman, Lisa Keating, the director of the Washington State LGBTQ Commission, which shouldn't exist either. We unfortunately didn't know that the cadet ceremony was happening at the same time, and we had speakers at the podium, and so there was a lot of confusion, she told Seattle's Gay News. Some people, I did hear that they felt it was intentional, and I tried to intervene, and we tried to calm folks down and allow the graduates to go through. It really was just an unfortunate timing that they had already had that event happening, and we had this event happening. Keating said she understands how the attendees were alarmed by troopers marching directly at the crowd, considering queer history and policing. Many in the LGBTQIA+ community are traumatized, generationally or firsthand from experiences with law enforcement. And they said they didn't know how to react in the moment. One attendee told Seattle Gay News after processing how the cadets divided the group in half when a speaker was at the podium, she said she counted at least 15 WSP SUVs parked. She said it was a presence and marching in military cadence. It felt like a flex of power and control. Quote, "We have a long history of being targeted by law enforcement. Our movement started by, in large, as the result of being targeted by law enforcement, and that hasn't stopped," she said, noting how trans and queer people of color are disproportionately targeted by law enforcement. What do I even say to such stupidity? What do I even say to that? You have cadets who, again, look like kids. They're like, many of them like 22 years old. And they're marching in formation for a graduation ceremony that was planned months ahead of time. Months ahead of time. Again, the governor's going to be there. People are going to be there months ahead of time. And they got in the way of your beloved pride flag raising, and it's their fault. They're the problem. They intentionally marched in formation through your pride flag raising to threaten and flex their power and control over you. We've lost our minds. And it's the state patrol that has to apologize. The state patrol that has to apologize at the beginning of their graduation ceremony. What a memory for those cadets. What a great moment for those cadets. And why did the state patrol have to apologize? I don't think the guy speaking is the one who wanted to apologize, frankly. What do we know about Governor Bob Ferguson's mandate that he put out? We reported on it months ago for any state agency. Everything has to go through his office. Every press release, remember, this was internal memos, has to go through the governor's office. The governor's office forced them to apologize. And Chris Loftus with the Washington State Patrol essentially said the same thing. So the WSP chief met with Governor Ferguson to talk about what actions would be appropriate. And the chief reached out to event participants and advocates and personally apologized. Furthermore, Chris Loftus noted how WSP and the governor's office created the apology and posted it on WSP's social media accounts during the graduation. And here's the other little interesting note. If we're talking about who's to blame for this, and look, should they have coordinated better? Probably. It was probably weird for the cadets to have to march through a crowd of people that hate them and that think they're threatening and intimidating and flexing power. I'm sure the cadets didn't want to do that either. But it was kind of the planned route, you know? It's the route like 119 training classes before them have taken. And again, was planned months in advance. I can't help but just notice. So the governor was at attendance at the trooper graduation, but the governor was also in attendance at the pride flag raising. Here's a video that his team put out on social media.
Our government has to be there for individuals all across our state, even in good times, but especially when times are more difficult. Yes. It's not time to back away from that struggle. It's exactly the opposite. It's a time to lean into it. Diversity, equity, inclusion, those are our values as a state. Yeah. I'll say it again so our president can hear it. Diversity, equity, inclusion are our values as a state. Am I right? Yeah! So we need to lean into that right now. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, both here to get this flag up, but even more importantly, as a community. And we're going to do that together. Thanks so much, everybody.
Yeah, first of all, he didn't seem that excited to be at the trooper graduation. He was much more excited to be at the pride flag raising. But isn't that interesting if we're talking about who's to blame and who should apologize? The governor has a schedule. He had 2 events on his schedule at roughly the same time, at roughly the same place. Should the governor not have known? Should the governor's staff not have known? Hey, maybe these two events are going to conflict with one another, Governor, because you're going right from the pride flag raising and you're going right in to the trooper graduation. So the governor's office makes the Washington State Patrol apologize, but maybe it's the governor's office who should have apologized, or maybe the alphabet mob should suck it up and get over themselves. Because not everything is about you. And if we're weighing which of the 2 events is more important, I think most sane people can agree that the trooper graduation probably takes precedence. And that maybe your little pride flag raising, which shouldn't even happen to begin with, could have happened later in the day. You know? That seems like a pretty easy thing to change the time of. Insane. These people are narcissists. Absolute narcissists. You don't even think, first of all, you think that they have to apologize to you, but that it was done intentionally. You think you're so important and your issue is so important that they intentionally organized all these cadets to march through it. Get over yourselves. Give me a break. Unfreaking believable.